It's Friday, so that must mean another Hot Air Sports podcast with me, Macca, and me good mate, Mahona. How are you, bud?
Oh, not too bad, mate. I'm trying to catch up on a bit of sleep, and then you wake me up and say, come on, let's get into the Hot Air Sports podcast. And what a great way to wake up on a Friday morning, straight after Manchester United lose yesterday in a penalty shootout, 11-10. Oh, that was a bit of fun yesterday, wasn't it? Let's all laugh at Man United.
Such a shame. Well, we've got a lot to get through this week, mate. So let's kick right into it with our good mates over there in Scouse-land, Liverpool and Chelsea, claiming the two remaining Champions League spots after Liverpool won, but both Chelsea and Leicester lost.
Yeah,
Liverpool third, Chelsea fourth, and Leicester fifth. What did I say 3 months ago?
They had about 240 odd days in the top four, and the only day they didn't was the last day of the season. Brendan, but they showed plenty of character.
Very proud.
Very proud. No, poor old Leicester. I actually feel quite sorry for them, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it was actually, I was really preparing myself for the stress and the tension of a last day sort of thing, and it never really came, did it? We scored early, and for Liverpool fans, it was kind of quite good. Chelsea there looked like they were, for a little while, they were in a bit of trouble, weren't they? Going behind, and then Leicester going ahead, and it looked like they were gone. But Schmeichel did them a favour and chucked the ball in his own net, and
he had a shocker, didn't he?
He did. He chose the worst game to have a shocker. The game before, he was man of the match, and then the game after, he's absolutely terrible. So a bit of a pity for Leicester, but I think they'll get over it. They won the FA Cup, and they're in Europe of some description. And they're not in that Conference League. They're actually in the Europa League. So I mean, they had a good season. I mean, they got some silverware, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you make of the top four? Of course, all Super League clubs.
Well, yes, I did predict that Liverpool and Chelsea would join the two Manchester clubs a few months ago, even though with 10 games to go, we needed to do a bit of work.
Did we what, mate? Did we what?
Yeah, I'm just glad we left that February and March form behind.
So what did we take? We took 26 points from 30.
In our last 10 games, yeah.
That's just, let's not do that again. That was almost like, though, those last performances was almost like a repeat of it was almost like back to normal, wasn't it? I mean, we've said this a little bit recently, back to normal, especially with a few fans in the grounds for that last round. Wasn't that nice to see our fans singing "You'll Never Walk Alone"? And I did notice that at Man City, it looked like the normal sort of crowd at Man City, though, didn't it?
Normal, yeah, absolutely. Well, the Premier League's done and dusted for another season, so let's do a bit of a review.
Okay.
I've listed a couple of highlights here, certainly from my perspective. Obviously, Liverpool's late form, which we've just talked about, 20 points out of a possible 30 in the last 10 games. Alisson Becker's goal was just an absolute highlight for me. Turned out it wasn't as crucial as it may have seemed at the time with Leicester falling over, but it's still just an absolute highlight. You don't see a goalkeeper score that often, and you never see a goalkeeper score from a header direct from a corner. So that one's going to live long in the memory.
Absolutely.
I also thought a highlight for me has been the return of Leeds in the Premier League. I thought to finish ninth, I think they've just done. Marcelo Bielsa has just done an amazing job there, and obviously he's got a bit of cash behind him. Italian owner Radrizzani. So I think they can. If Bielsa stays, which it looks likely he will, I can only see them getting better and better, and they're going to be pushing for one of those top four places next season.
Absolutely, mate. Leeds have been fantastic, and just the style they play as well. You go a long way to see better football played, don't you? I mean, they just run around. They run every team off their feet. I mean, Liverpool have been the fittest team in the Premier League for the last 2 or 3 years, and I'd say Leeds are probably fitter. I mean, they are just, they play a crazy style of football. Absolutely love watching them. They're definitely one of the highlights. Another one of the highlights, mate, not Liverpool related, would have to be, and I mean, I've often accused this guy of being a serial loser, and this year he's proven me wrong. David Moyes and West Ham. West Ham have done bloody well this season. They were in the Champions League places for a long time. They suffered a couple of injuries near the end to Mikel Antonio and Declan Rice, which definitely wasn't good for them. But I think they've been great this year. They've definitely been helped by no fans in the stadium, I reckon, because before the pandemic, they were all, chanting for blood of the owners and the coach. So they rid themselves a little bit of that, and they played some good football as well. So good on West Ham. What about your other highlights, mate? Alisson Becker, of course, that goal. I mean, we're going to be talking about it and thinking about it and just dining out on it for the rest of our lives, aren't we? You never see it, and we saw it. And we saw the greatest goalie header of all time to win a game of football in the 94th minute. I mean, just boys' own stuff. That had to be the goal of the year for me. And of course, our Liverpool's late form to get into the top four. I really thought we didn't have a shit show, mate, but we came back well. And
one of the game highlights for me was our 4-2 victory at Old Trafford in that crucial run, of course. And the thing was that yes, Manchester United did play 6 or 4 games in 8 days or 9 days or something.
Yeah,
and they put out their B team against Leicester.
Yeah.
And lost that game, thinking that'll stuff Liverpool up. Then put their top side out against Liverpool, and what do? We blow them away 4-2. So, good to stick that up the scum. So
and poor old Ollie, mate. I
think another highlight for me has probably been watching Manchester City play, especially the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. Riyad Mahrez, I think, have just
Phil Foden.
Fantastic seasons.
Phil Foden,
young Phil Foden.
Man.
What else can you say about that young man?
Yeah, no, they're champions. They deserve champions. I mean, Pep's an amazing coach. Although, did you think he went on a little bit too much at the end of that game about Sergio? So beautiful, so friendly, so nice. He's so nice. I was like, well, you're kicking him out. I mean, it's not like you don't have to. I just thought that was just a bit over the top, a little bit cringy, a little bit cheesy. I mean, I know it's sad he's leaving, but you're the one saying he has to go, and Sergio's going to Barcelona, man.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to regret that like Barcelona regretted Suarez going? I mean, Well, not if they get Haaland or Kane, I guess.
The story graphic in relation to Barcelona was that a few years ago they let David Villa go, and he went to Atletico Madrid and won the title. This year they've let Luis Suarez go. He's gone to Atletico Madrid and won the title. So yes, it's Barcelona letting go of another seemingly older player, but not working for them.
Yeah, mate, you've got to be careful with who's out of contract, don't you? And make sure that they don't have too much left in the tank before you give them to your rivals. That was such a bad move by them, giving away Luis Suarez to Atletico, and of course he wins the title. And he was out actually. He was almost semi-shamed out of the door there. He said that he felt unwanted and unloved and all that sort of thing, and they shoved him out. And obviously that was the reason why Messi, because he's a good mate of Suarez's, he was sort of not very happy as well about the way he was treated. And man, just careful the way you treat those guys, because they can come back and bite you on the bum, and Suarez will bite you, all right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's a possibility that Atletico Madrid might actually do the same thing themselves with Antoine Griezmann. There's a lot of rumours going around that he's interested in heading Scouse side.
Yeah, there is talk about him, except I think he's one of those players that's flattered to deceive. He does it for France. He did it. Who was he with before Barcelona? Can't remember who he was with before Barcelona. Can you remember who he was with before Barcelona?
I'm struggling to think of it myself, actually.
Anyway, I mean, I've never really seen him do too much. I mean, I've seen him do it for France, but as a club player, I mean, and is he out of contract? He's not out of contract, so we'd have to pay a very, very large.
I just saw very the other day.
Yeah. So I don't know whether I'd really like to see him at Liverpool. We'd have to change his attitude anyway. But anyway, back onto the highlights of the year. The highlights of the year, we got the Liverpool's late form, Alisson Becker's goal, Leeds return to the Premier League. What about your coach of the year, mate? Have you thought about this? Who would you say was your coach of the year in the Premier League?
I think you couldn't go past David Moyes.
Yeah, it's hard, eh? But
yeah,
when you look at the tools you're given,
done with West Ham with largely the same squad. I mean, the two Czech players that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Souček and Val, who have both come in, and that Souček has been an incredible player.
Absolutely,
he's played really well, and to have the injuries that they've had to Michail Antonio, Declan Rice, and the likes. I think he's just done a fantastic job. I've never been a big David Moyes fan.
Neither of us have, But what can you say?
To stick around in the top four for as long as they did, and threaten those Champions League spots, I think you can't go past him, really.
Nah, I'd agree, mate. I'd agree. David Moyes is our coach of the year. We'll get the award in the mail to him today. That'll be heading to London. And Alisson Becker getting our moment of the year with that goal in the last minute. Man, never forget it. And of course, Leeds returning to the Premier League, a good highlight for us. What about lowlights, though, mate? What about things that sort of made you feel a little bit, oh, geez, about the year? What are your lowlights of the year?
You could start with injuries, and that's not just to Liverpool. You look at some of the other sides that have had some horrendous injury problems, including Leicester. Even though they seemingly got their A side back together for the run-in, they were missing Johnny Evans at the back, who has been playing very well for them. Just the terrible run of injuries. I mean, you can't go past any side that had half the injury problems that Liverpool had. Would just not have got anywhere near the top four. You look at Van Dijk, Gomez, Henderson's had injury problems. Fabinho's battled through injury problems, even though he's played most of the season. Thiago, second or third game in, was out for half a season. Diogo Jota's been out for a quarter of the season.
Yeah, at least quarter of the season. Yep.
Naby Keita just has not been able to buy a trick getting fit. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain started the season with a knee injury and then has picked up little niggles. I mean, it's just the first 11 has just been absolutely decimated. And
but as much as that's a low light, and it definitely is a low light. I mean, I've never seen injuries like this before to Liverpool or any other club. But I mean, it's decimated our season. What it did do is enable a couple of small highlights to come through in the form of especially Nat Phillips. I mean, that guy has just become a cult hero at Liverpool. There's talk already that we're going to sell him next season. I would definitely keep him. I think he'd look great with better players around him. Just looking at his stats for the year, aerial duels won 96 out of 146. That's 40 more than anyone else in the club. Yeah. And clearances 81, 5 per 90 minutes, and he's also the top for shots blocked and 15 for the season. He was ranked first in the club for all of those statistics. And absolutely superb season from him. So as much as injuries are terrible, they do allow other players to come through, don't they, and shine. And Nat Phillips, he's never injured, mate. Gets cuts on his head, just bandage me up, put me out there.
As Jamie Carragher said, if a double-decker bus drove into the Liverpool penalty area, Nat Phillips would head it clear.
He would, mate. He would. Yeah, absolutely. And what about the VAR and the overall refereeing standards, mate? That's been pretty great this year. It's been good.
Come on. That's overall refereeing standard, let alone VAR, I think has been the worst that I can ever remember.
It's a feeling for the game. They've lost the feeling for the game. It's almost like they're going, okay, we've got this VAR, so now we don't really have to, we just have to make decisions by the book. And they don't really, is that what it is? For me, it is.
You hit the nail on the head, pal, 100%. I think just subconsciously there is the thought in their mind that they've got that backstop of VAR, so they're not making the refereeing in the Premier League used to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
But now it's nowhere near it.
No.
And I think you'll find with the European Championships coming up, there's not going to be too many English referees, I would imagine.
And fair enough. I mean, I used to say, why aren't the English referees there? But now it's like, I don't want them there. And the thing is as well, when you're in the Champions League or in European football, you get the other referees from the continent. And I do feel that they have a better feeling, once again, for the game. They just sort of seem to have more of an organic way of processing the information and sort of making a decision. Whereas, and even though they've got VAR upstairs, even when they're talking to the person, they seem to just communicate better, even if English isn't their first language. So I don't know, maybe they all just need to go back to school. The referee's boss in England's got a lot of work to do. So VAR and the refereeing standards definitely on our lowlights. I notice here you've also put something about our what we're going to be wearing.
Oh, just overall, not just the Liverpool second and third kits.
Yeah.
Some of the kits that teams are wearing as their away kit or third kit are just horrendous. The Liverpool third kit, that horrible green thing with
it's awful.
Black splodges all through it.
Yeah. Have you seen the third kit for next year? The white one
looks City white one with looks like amoeba all over it.
The zebra one is the worst.
The zebra one is just terrible. And come on.
And usually it's the big kit manufacturers that stuff it up the worst.
Yeah.
Adidas and Nike, especially. When you go into the lower reaches and you get things like Umbro and Jofra and all those other sort of lower, they just seem to do classic footy kits. Yeah. And it's like, why do the big guys? And it's not like they're individualizing them. They actually use cut and paste for all the other.
Some of the goalkeeper jerseys.
I know, they're cut and paste
going
jobs.
Back to the David James specials of the 90s.
I know.
And the David Seaman one.
And if you're gonna do that, I reckon the goalkeepers should all be wearing extra large jerseys. So they should be like, like Shaka Hislop we used to wear in the late 90s, where he was so baggy it looked like a caftan almost on him. Absolutely. Yeah, make him bigger. So the kits.
And, another low light for me has been I've been really disappointed with Sheffield United this year. I think they're one of the teams that suffered from not having fans
definitely
at the stadium. But to finish in the top half last year and well into the top half, and just capitulate this season has just been really disappointing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Wilder got a rough shake of the stick there as well. I think if they had kept him, maybe they could have finished a little bit stronger. I don't understand why you would kick him out when they kicked him out. I mean, he is Mr. Sheffield United. Obviously, there's something behind the scenes going on there, but he could have easily gone again next year, So Sheffield United a real disappointment as well. So there you go. Those are some of our lowlights. What about new player successes? Not just for Liverpool, of course. Diego Jota was one of the ones, especially early on. Started with us in a raw, looked like he was going to be our number one man, and then he got injured. So Diego Jota and of course Thiago, when he first turned up in Liverpool, once again looked $1 million, and then $1 billion. I suppose you can't even use that analogy anymore, can you? Looked absolutely fantastic. Passed the ball like an absolute killer, and then got injured again. So both of them look fantastic. I would almost suggest that they're like new signings for us next season. Yeah. What about the other teams, though? What about the other big signings that caught your eye?
Yeah, well, the Manchester City centre-back, Ruben Diaz, came in. Nobody knew who Ruben Diaz was, but he's forged such a fantastic partnership with John Stones, who I never really rated as a centre-back until this year, and he's really shown his true colours as a centre-back and has to be a rock in the England setup come Euros, which we'll talk a bit more about later. And also a guy that has actually been around for a long time and never really did it in Premier League in previous smaller sample size showings was Patrick Bamford. 17 goals in the Premier League this year. I think he's done a great job for Bielsa in that lead side. And also Rafinha is one that has really shone too for Leeds. I think he's a great player, and there were rumours going around a month or so ago that he might be headed to Liverpool. So, but if you took into account every rumour that goes around, the Liverpool squad would be 45 strong.
Yeah, definitely. Patrick Bamford's an interesting one. He started at Chelsea and couldn't get a start there, moved to Leeds, and everyone said, he did it in the Championship. He's not going to be able to do it in the Premier League, and he's proven them all wrong. And I love someone that proves everyone wrong. And of course, the two Czechs as well. We have to mention them because they were signed for a snip, Sufal and Souček for West Ham. They were definitely two of our favourite player successes this year. What about people that didn't quite live up to the hype this year? You got any names for me?
Well, there's at least a couple from Chelsea that you could quite easy. Timo Werner, who nearly came to Liverpool. And yeah, he's said himself that this year has been his worst season ever. So he's one. And Kai Havertz hasn't really lived up to his billing. I think for the first half of the season under Frank Lampard, he played in about 13 different positions on the field. So it was very hard for him to settle down. He started to show a little bit of what he can do towards the end of the season, but didn't really get a decent run of games. And the other one who arrived actually at Manchester United midway through last season, but still hasn't really done anything, is Donnie Vandenbeek, who came as a big superstar signing from Ajax in Amsterdam and just hasn't done anything.
Well, the reason he hasn't done anything is because he hasn't played.
I was going to say, to be fair, Ollie Solskjaer hasn't really given him a decent chance.
He doesn't rate him. I mean, he was great for Ajax. I think he could still make a good midfielder. I think he's better than Fred. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Manchester United's midfield. Yesterday, their best midfielder was McTominay. So, you know, what do you do with their midfield? I mean, it needs an overhaul. Bruno Fernandez definitely wasn't sharp yesterday because he's played like 1,000 games this season. He looked exhausted. So, definitely. Havertz is an interesting one for me. He's one of those guys that I think he could still be absolutely awesome. I mean, from what I'm hearing from the Germans, they just think he is their wonderkind. He's going to be an absolute superstar. And he did have COVID really bad this year too. So it's almost like a do-over for him. I think he'll come right. Not so sure on Werner. He's a strange guy. When you hear him interviewed, he's like, oh, yes, I am playing. It just sounds like a Benny Hill German almost. He just doesn't sound like he's quite German or something. He's just putting on the funny voice. I am a German. But he just doesn't know where the offside line is, that boy. He's got tons of pace and he's just always offside. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come right. But I don't know. Yeah, he's been a bit of a letdown this year. We've missed a number of managers have been given the boot this year as well, Macca. What about managers you're going to miss this year, the ones that have given us the boot, that have been given the boot?
Yeah, I think not only us, but I think Wolverhampton Wanderers are really going to miss Nuno Espirito Santo, who's been their manager for 4 or 5 years, got them back into the Premier League, got them to 7th that first year, and the last 3 years haven't been as successful, but they've certainly not been relegation candidates in any of those seasons. And I think he'll be sadly missed in the Premier League. Be interesting to see what Wolves do. They've just got a new Chinese owner, and they're obviously a big slant towards Portuguese players. There's a lot of those in that team, and I think one of their director of football or one of the super agents has directed a lot of players their way, and they do have links with one of the Portuguese clubs. It might be Porto. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think Nuno will be sadly missed, as will Chris Wilder, who we just talked about before at Sheffield United. And another manager I'm going to miss certainly, if not for his team's ability on the park, but Scott Parker, his honesty in interviews after the games, just, showed what kind of person he is. And he calls a spade. And obviously he's been there and done that as a player. And yeah, I'm really going to miss Scott Parker as a manager in the Premier League.
Yeah, Scotty Parker is a bit of a geezer, but yeah, I quite like him as well. I like the cut of his jib. I think he'll be back. I think Fulham are one of those bounce clubs, and they'll eventually get it right. Nuno, I'm going to miss his beard and his cuddles. I like the way he cuddles all the staff when they score a goal, and I like the way he communicates as well. He's very softly spoken, but he looks like he could explode at any time. So I like someone with a little bit something bubbling under there, and Nuno was always good for that. And Chris Wilder, of course, we've talked a lot about him. I really rated the man. What about guys we won't miss, mate? I noticed you put a couple down here, but you missed perhaps another one of mine who went nice and early in the season. Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard. I'm not going to miss him. I'm not going to miss him at all. Frank, there's rumours actually that Frank could be going all sorts of places.
Crystal Palace seems to be the favourite.
Crystal Palace, yeah. West Bromwich Albion as well. Who knows? Who knows where Frank's going to turn up? But Frank, you're a hopeless manager, mate. You should have stuck to playing. I'm going to say. Or he should have gone to a club down the lower leagues. He should have stuck with Derby for another couple of years. I don't know. I'm not going to miss Frank Lampard. What about a couple of other guys that you won't miss? And neither will I.
Oh, I'm not going to miss big salty Sam Allardyce. He's anti-football, that man.
He is.
With his 8-2-0 formations against the top sides. I just so hope he does not get a job back in the Premier League. He's non-league football. Not even that, actually. It's time to hang up his tie.
Pack it up.
It's more time with your family.
It's so confusing with Frank, though, because he was like really angry almost Frank with Sam Allardyce when he sort of said he wasn't coming back. He was like, "Oh well, it's what are you? It's because of you guys," and he's blaming the reporters, and they're like going, "Well, why is it our fault?" Well, you all said I'm a fire. He called himself a Red Adair manager. Yeah, I'm a Red Adair manager. That's what you all say. So that's what I'm going to. And it's like, well, why don't you prove that you're not? Why don't you stay with the club and build them? And he's like, no, that's not what you guys say on this. So that's where I'm going to be. And it's like, well, who are you angry at? I mean, you seem quite happy to be what you are, collect the money for half a season, get a big payout at the end, go on holiday, and then come back in the next season. But it's like, but yet he's angry at them for saying what he is. It's like, Sam Allardyce, get lost. I'm sorry.
And one that went a few weeks ago, not sad to see him go, is our good Portuguese friend, Jose Mourinho. Welcome to Roma. Roma deserve you.
Yeah, there'll be lots of ex-Man United players and ex-Chelsea players heading their way shortly. Probably people like Juan Mata and I don't know. All the old guys will all be turning up at Roma for a bit of a reunion with Jose. Surely.
Yeah, quite right. Well, there's our review of the Premier League season. I think just possibly one small highlight for me was that last couple of weeks of the season where we had some fans back in the stadium, and sort of going on from that, a low light was having no fans.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, hopefully that is all sorted out for next season, and we can see fans back in the grounds.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the transfer rumours and what's going on around the traps, Liverpool have decided against signing loanee Ozan Kabak, who will return to Schalke, and looks like they're about to finalise the signing of this Ibrahima Konate, who is going to be playing for France at the Euros.
Yeah, I think that's a great move. I don't know about Quebec. I think he was a little bit unlucky. He got injured there at the end. Yeah. I think if he had stayed fit, we might have re-signed him because he was showing signs of promise. But the way Nat Phillips stood up and the other young fella as well, Rhys Williams, the way that they both stood up in those last few games of the season, I think we honestly, and of course, next season, all our players coming back from injury. And if we are signing Konate, we can't have 7 central defenders. Yeah. So I think that's just a sensible thing. I've watched Konate play quite a bit, actually, and I'm really impressed. The guy is athletic. He's strong. He's fast. He can do basically anything. He's a young guy. He's got plenty of potential to grow. I think he's, there was a lot of talk about Upamecano, Upamecano, I think, who plays in the same team as him, but I've always been a little bit more impressed by this fella than him anyway. So I think we're going to see a great player. The whole problem is with him is injury. He's been injured a little bit. So there's been a lot of talk online about him being injured, and I've heard stories that it was just one major injury. So maybe that's not a problem. But if injuries are no problem and he's not injured, because we don't need another injured centre back, that's for sure, he could turn into a great signing. So I'm very happy we're looking at the back to strengthen the back. But what are we going to do further forward?
Well, there's a rumour that's just come out in the last couple of days that Yuri Tielemans is being sought after by Liverpool to replace Gini Wijnaldum, who we still don't know where he's going. There was strong thoughts that he might go to Bayern Munich. but now the Barcelona rumours have come back. So we've just got to wait and see where he ends up.
He is going to Barcelona, is my understanding. He's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know about Tielemans. I've watched him a bit. He's quite good. I mean, he is a good player. I mean, he's hard to get off the ball. He does everything. I just sort of wonder whether it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction as opposed to, they see him score that great goal in the FA Cup. He doesn't do that every week. That's not the sort of player he is.
Yeah.
For me, Yves Bissouma from Brighton would be the guy I'd go after. He's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more robust. He's got bags of energy. He can score a goal. And for me, he looks like a younger version of Genie with a little bit more of a athletic bent to him. So I would go for someone like him.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, both. I mean, I'd be happy with either of those, to be perfectly honest. But you're right about Bissouma. He does ooze class and plays the box-to-box midfielder, which is
good
role that Wijnaldum's been playing. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And I tell you what, the rumours of Kylian Mbappe
they don't stop,
not going away.
No. And there was pictures of him during the week with I don't know whether you can see this on my phone, of him with Big Nat Phillips all around him in his bedroom when he was a little boy. Yeah, so there's all sorts of memes from all the Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, he's definitely coming. He's definitely coming to Liverpool." I don't know. I mean, if he does, my God, wouldn't we be awesome? Wouldn't we love him? We'd rip teams apart, wouldn't we? I mean,
yeah, I certainly think Klopp does need to add to the forward line. I wouldn't be surprised if one of Mane, Salah, or Firmino does leave. A story I saw the other day that the sporting director at Liverpool, Michael Edwards, is going to be getting rid of up to 12 players from that squad. Wow. I think a lot of those will be fringe players, like some of the youngsters that have been around a while and have been loaned out to clubs, every year for the past 3 or 4 years. The likes of Harry Wilson, Ben Woodburn,
Gruitch.
Yeah, Gruitch. Divock Origi could be another one to see the exit door, possibly even Xherdan Shaqiri, although I know Klopp does love him. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer for Liverpool, and obviously making that top four was a huge boost, and it seems obvious to me that Klopp will be knocking on John Henry's door asking for the checkbook.
Speaking of transfers, though, I mean, let's just move out of Liverpool for just a second. Perhaps the biggest transfer or maybe not non-transfer of the off-season will be the Harry Kane transfer. Of course, he's come out and said he definitely wants to move away from Tottenham, but who's going to afford him? I've heard a little rumor. Now, I don't know whether this is true, but I'm going to air it here anyway. I've heard that Manchester United have said that they're willing to offer Martial and Jesse Lingard plus 40 million for Harry Kane. They're going to pay him $400,000 a week. Would you go for that? Hey, I mean, obviously they don't have the money to pay for him. This is the way the deal will be done. I think there will be player exchanges. I think there's going to be more player exchanges this offseason than ever before, because teams are just like, oh, we just need to offload this guy, but we don't have quite enough money for the guy we want. So what about we try and? So that's very creative. I think Manchester United are getting very creative there. But Martial and Jesse Lingard, they're both handy players, and I think they'd go pretty well at Tottenham. Both of those guys.
I was just having a chat with a mate the other day, and we were talking about players that Manchester United would either keep or let go.
Yeah.
And Martial was one of those that we both agreed that his time's up probably at Manchester United. He's never really settled in. He's never really had a consistent run of games. And he's never really got himself on the score sheet enough. So, you've got the likes of Rashford there. Cavani's signed for another year. If they can get Harry Kane in there and sit him alongside Mason Greenwood, that's a pretty dangerous front line.
It is. But I suppose the big question there is, where does Harry want to go? Yeah. And of course, Harry wants to win championships. It's no thing. So the obvious destination for Harry Kane would be Manchester City, wouldn't it? And they are the one club that does have the money. They don't have to swap any players. They've got stacks and stacks of money because they're owned by a nation. So yeah, if he ends up at Manchester City, what are your thoughts, Macca? Have they nailed on odds on for the title next year?
I don't know if Manchester City would be going in for Harry Kane. I think they're going to go for, rather than a 27-year-old England forward, I think they're going to go for a 21-year-old Norwegian forward.
That'd be even scarier, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with Aguero going. So, yeah, I don't know if City are going to be – depends on how they go with Haaland. If they don't get Haaland, I think that may be a fallback option. So, yeah, I think Kane's likely, as you said last week, if indeed he does leave, I think it's going to be either United or Chelsea.
I just can't see Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea and Tottenham. I mean,
but they're not – it's not Arsenal.
No, it's not, but they still hate each other. They still hate each other. Like,
plenty of players have played for both clubs, and there's not been animosity.
If he ended up playing for Chelsea, though, there would be animosity. There would be. I mean, I cannot imagine the Spurs fans going.
Look, I don't think whatever club he goes to, there's going to be animosity between the two clubs. You know, it's like like when Michael Owen signed to play for United.
Yeah, scumbag.
Yeah.
Can't believe he's still an ambassador for Liverpool after he did that.
Not happy about that. Anyway.
Okay, so the club season's done and dusted, mate. That means international football must be getting underway. The European Championships, they kick off pretty shortly, actually. June 11, Turkey take on Italy in the first game, and England's first game comes on June the 14th when they face Croatia at Wembley. Now, England manager Gareth Southgate has decided he can't pick all his players, so he's decided to pick all his players. 33 men. That's 3 teams. 33-man provisional squad. It's going to trim it down to 26 next week. Foden, Grealish, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, all named, but James Maddison missed out amongst the 4 right backs to be named. Also, Trent Alexander-Arnold was picked along with Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, and Rhys James. Especially, I would say definitely one of those guys will miss out as well. And he also picked Ben White and the other defender from Ben Godfrey from Everton as well. A couple of guys, I think both of them will miss out as well. You try and trim it down. Nick Pope, of course, is injured as well, so they're going to need a third goalkeeper.
Well, they've picked 4 so far, so one of them will miss out as well. I think it was Pickford is the incumbent, obviously. Yep. He's picked Dean Henderson from United. Aaron Ramsdale has also been called up.
That's right.
The other one...
I can't remember the other one.
Right.
But 33-man provisional squad. The biggest question for Liverpool fans out there, mate, is Trent going to go?
Well, yeah, I mean, you and I obviously would have him in the starting 11.
Like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why... Don't know what Gareth Southgate got against Trent.
Gareth Edwards would probably do a better job.
Yeah, he possibly would. I think there was probably 3 or 4 others I thought were hard done by missing out. Eric Dyer has been an England international.
He's been pretty average this season, though.
He has been pretty average, but he always seems to pick it up for England.
Yeah.
Danny Ings, I think, is a real hard luck story.
That's true.
Proven to be a regular scorer for Southampton. I think he's been very unlucky.
Patrick Bamford
is another one to miss out. He's, apart from Harry Kane, the top English scorer in the Premier League this year.
Yeah. So, do you think Trent will make the side? You did really well there.
My heart says yes, but my head is just, I don't know what Gareth Southgate's thinking.
The thing is,
what's going on in his head.
I think what's going on in his head is that Trent's never really played that well for England. He's played, fantastically for Liverpool, especially in the last couple of months, but really, has he played that well for England? Is that Trent's fault, though? I mean, 100% is that Trent's fault, or is that the style they're playing, and Gareth Southgate saying don't go over that halfway line too often, whereas for Liverpool, he's got carte blanche to do it whenever he wants. So it depends on the style they're going to play. Are they going to play a back three? Harry Maguire's now under an injury cloud. Are they going to pick a back four? So it's all around that sort of stuff. I'd have him in there in a heartbeat. I don't know whether Gareth Southgate will pick him. I think he probably won't. And that'll just create a whole shitstorm when Rhys James in the semi-final falls over his own feet and someone scores a goal and they'll go, there you go. That's what's going to happen.
Yes. Anyway, and of course, you may have noticed I got my Scotland shirt on today. The first game is at Hampton Park against the Czech Republic on the 15th. So, European Championships. It's an international sporting event that probably Europe could have done without because of the pandemic, obviously.
Situation. Yeah.
It's going ahead, so be it. We'll see what happened. Now, our good friends across the Pennines in Manchester, a team by the name of United, lost the Europa League final on penalties to Spain's Villarreal. It got to 10-all in the penalties. So time for the keepers to step up and do their business. Geronimo Rulli, the Villarreal keeper.
Hey, Geronimo.
Yeah. Smashed his into the top.
He took a great penalty, didn't he?
It was a great penalty, and then stood on the line and didn't really have to do much to save his counterpart David De Gea's penalty. It was a pretty pathetic attempt from the United goalkeeper.
It was horrible. It was a horrible penalty, but you can't really blame him, I suppose. The thing is, though, he tried to psych out every single Villarreal player by giving in the ball late, by turning on it, and he didn't touch one. I think he might have touched one penalty. He was hopeless. I mean, maybe they should have done the old Louis van Gaal thing and subbed on Henderson because he wasn't a very good penalty. I mean, his penalty shot was terrible, but his penalty saving was almost as bad. Just very sad for Manchester United. Congratulations, though. They're the only team this year to be knocked out of the Champions League, Europa League, and European Super League all in one season. Well done. Well done.
I think a highlight for me at the end of the game was former Liverpool fullback Alberto Moreno. His penalty, and then on the live Instagram feed was shouting out, "You'll never walk alone." Just rub it into all the Man United supporters. And congratulations to Villarreal, their first ever European trophy. So congratulations to the Yellow Submarine.
Man. And I heard somewhere that the whole population of that town wouldn't even fit into Manchester United's home ground. There'd still be like 15,000 seats left empty if the whole city went in there. So that sort of shows you the scale of the two teams, and the fact that Manchester United couldn't beat them is kind of pathetic, really. And Bruno Fernandez crying at the end because he saw his team have 11 penalties and they still lost. So sad. So sad.
And he was denied a penalty during the game.
He was.
He fell over a blade of grass.
He's good at that. Yeah. Okay, so the big one's coming up, though, mate, shortly. The Champions League final. Man City versus Chelsea. You interested?
No, not really.
No, me neither, mate. But I'll be watching. I'm a sucker for punishment. Who would you rather have? It is it's one of these things for someone that supports Liverpool. It's the lesser of two evils. So you look at the whole situation, and who would you choose out of those two awful teams to support if you had to, who would you rather win?
It's easy. Chelsea.
Why?
Well, they've won the Champions League before. City still haven't won it.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I like your thinking. Very bitter. I do. I'm supporting Chelsea. I have to support Chelsea. I just don't want to see Manchester City win the Champions League. Also, they've taken all the silverware in England just about this season, so I don't want them to get a treble. I don't want to see Pep Guardiola cry, "It's so special." Don't want to see any more of that. Thanks very much.
Enough of that game anyway. There's a bigger game on. It's
bigger game. There is a much bigger game. Or earlier on in the morning, isn't it?
Earlier on in the morning, Brentford playing Swansea playing next year's Premiership. Managers Thomas Frank and Steve Cooper will battle it out. I'm sure our good friend Kerry Jones will be watching with great anticipation that his team from West Wales can get back into the Premiership where they so belong.
What do you reckon, mate? This is going to be a good one, actually. Swansea, I've noticed they've only spent around £2 million net since this manager's come in. So he's got them playing his style, a very pragmatic style. Brentford, they're all flash and dash like their manager. So it's going to be an interesting game of a clash of styles amongst the teams, amongst the managers. It should be a really good game. Brentford came from behind to beat Bournemouth, and the Swans, of course, controlled Barnsley in the semi-finals. This game is worth about £100 million. Of course, they'll go through to the I think they're going to have fans at Wembley and everything as well. It promises to be an awesome game. It actually is one of the games of the whole year, isn't it? It always is. The team that's going to get promoted, and Brentford will be absolutely desperate. They've never been in the Premier League. Both regular season games ended 1-1 draws. So that sort of gives you an idea that there's nothing in it. Penalties. Nip and tuck. And I think Brentford will win. I've already said this to Kerry. He was communicating to me yesterday and said, "Where's the latest podcast going to drop? And what are you going to say about it?" I said, "I'm going to be supporting Brentford all the way." And he said, "I hate you." And I said, "Mate, you don't want me to jump on the Swans. If I jump on the Swans, you got no chance at all." So he agreed with me, and he's going to be back in the Swans. So I will actually inside secretly be quite happy if the Swans made it back. Either of those two sides, they'll be a worthy addition to the Premier League next year.
I'm the same. I think Brentford, from the heartache of losing this game last year to Fulham, I think that will spur them on. And, of course, they've got a Kiwi amongst their ranks in Winston Reid. So even though he hasn't been playing regularly, he's been on the bench the last I think he was on the bench for both playoff games so far. So if he can get on to Wembley, it'd be great to see him on Wembley. And, I think I'm be happy with either side. But, Brentford, just because they've never been in the Premiership before and they've got such a great history.
Yeah, absolutely. What about UEFA looking to get rid of the away goals rule? There's been talk of this for a while, mate. Possible replacement being away goals only after extra time, as per the current Carabao and League Cup, or penalties after extra time in the second leg to please the millennials who don't understand that rule. What are you thinking on that, mate? What are you thinking on away goals?
I love the away goals.
So do I.
It has been difficult the last couple of years because ties have been played in neutral venues and there's been no crowd. But, man, if you score an away goal at Anfield in front of 54,000 people, that is an absolute treasure to take back to your ground. And likewise, if Liverpool gets an away goal, at the Allianz Stadium in Germany and takes that back, even if you lose 3-1, you're taking back an extra goal. So you only need to score twice and you're through to the next round. So I love the away goals rule, and all those people that don't understand it, you're an idiot.
Well, you look at look at our side, Liverpool, when we won 4-0 against Barcelona. The only reason we could win 4-0 and win the tie is because we took that away goal in that first leg, didn't we? We got the away goal in Barcelona. No, we didn't get an away goal, did we not?
It was 3-0.
Oh, we did too. Okay, but okay, recap. There have been games.
The away goals.
There you go. No, there's a number of examples where the away goal has been scored and people, you still get a big loss, but you got an away goal and then you take it home, and provided you can keep a clean sheet at home, it makes that jeopardy all the more. And it also means it was almost, when we, Atletico Madrid, when Liverpool played Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals, wasn't it? A year or two back, and they scored, it was 1-1 at the end of 90 minutes, which took it to extra time, and then they scored a couple of goals in the away leg. Those goals, they just mean so much more. I love away goals. I don't like the whole idea of, the way it's been communicated so many times, like away goals count double. It's just bollocks. It's not the way it works. They only count if the scores are tied at the end of both legs. Otherwise it doesn't really matter. So they're only really a tiebreaker. And it's. So why mess with it anyway? They probably will.
I know. It's people sitting behind desks trying to think of a new, exciting, fandangled way to attract 15 and 20-year-olds to the game. Look, if you're not supporting football by the time you're 15 or 20, go and play netball.
Yeah. Or stick to your video games or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Carry on with your macrame. So yeah, leave it alone. As with, we've discussed it on previous occasions. Last year they had the ended up the Champions League in a hub in Portugal.
Yeah.
While it was good as a one-off, it's great to be back to the home and away, even though it wasn't true home and away this year. Hopefully it will be next year, and we can get back to some normality. Anyway, some big manager news around Europe at the moment. Real Madrid's Zinedine Zidane has resigned after their failed attempt to win La Liga, as does Inter Milan boss Antonio Conte, straight after winning the league, with the Italian furious over the club's financial restrictions, with likely to having to sell bulk of their championship-winning side, including the likes of Christian Eriksen, Alexis Sanchez, Romelu Lukaku, all those big-name players that helped win the league. They could be gone. The race for the Spurs job has heated up, with Conte, former player Jurgen Klinsmann, and former Juventus boss Massimiliano Allegri seemingly in the running, with Allegri also a possibility to go back to Juventus, with Andrea Pirlo likely to be sacked in the next few days. But the wild card amongst the Spurs situation is Mauricio Pochettino has been having talks with Daniel Levy about a return to the London club. Pochettino apparently doesn't get on with PSG's sporting director Leonardo, former Brazilian player, and he wants out from there. So interesting. Poch back at Spurs. That would be a big come down for Daniel Levy after the acrimonious way they got rid of him early in the season before last.
If he brings him back, is he basically saying I made a mistake? Is that what he's?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I can't see him bringing him back then, because he's not going to say he made a mistake. He's not that sort of guy, Daniel Levy. I just cannot. I mean, for me, it'll be a good thing for Spurs because Pochettino's a good manager, but they should never have got rid of him in the first place. It was amazing when they did. I couldn't believe it. They were just like, we got them to the Champions League final, for God's sakes, the year before. And then they go, but we need to win something. So we'll bring in a manager who wins things.
Yeah, well, I saw an item on YouTube last night, just before I turned the lights off, and it was a Sky Sport breaking news item, and it was them talking about the fact that Pochettino and Spurs have been carrying out these talks over the last week, and apparently Pochettino is flying to London in the next couple of days. They reckon it could be done within the week.
That's crazy. That is crazy talk. So then that will leave PSG open, which someone like Zidane may head there, but I've heard Zidane might be heading to Juve. That's my good oil. I've heard Antonio Conte, he's just an angry man. He's angry at everything. He's angry at everyone all the time. So that didn't really surprise me. The guy's furious. He's always wanting more money, always wanting more players, and it's never good enough. So I would love it if he ended up at Spurs.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is Wolves are going to be looking for a new manager.
True.
So, yeah, be interesting to see what happens there. Moyes is obviously staying on at West Ham. Bielsa likely to stay on at Leeds, so not too many premiership openings. Former Bournemouth boss Eddie Howe looks as though he's the favourite to take over at Celtic after they let Neil Lennon go following their dismal end of the season, bowing to the great Steven Gerrard's Rangers a couple of months ago. So Eddie Howe back into management. Apparently that announcement is going to take place in the coming days. So I think he can do a good job there.
It's taken a while for them to appoint him, though. They've been talking, Celtic fans have been talking about this for months. I mean, they've been going, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I think he'd be a really good appointment. I mean, he's a good young manager. He's a real hard worker. He plays a certain structure and a certain style. He is a good recruiter normally. I mean, so long as he doesn't recruit off Liverpool. He took some of our chaff, didn't he?
Yeah, they did very well, though.
Not with us. But I think he'd do well in Scotland. I really do. And it'd be really interesting to see when him and Steven Gerrard came up against each other, because they're both around the same age. And, it could be quite fiery.
Yeah, apparently the holdup has been waiting for Bournemouth to finish their season, so he now can bring in his coaching team.
Is that what it is?
Who are all still involved at Bournemouth. They stayed there after he left the club at the end of last season. So now that they're out of the running for the playoffs, they can apparently go ahead with that.
Cool.
Now, I was amongst 24,000 of my best friends last Saturday at Sky Stadium. See the Phoenix smash Western United 3-0.
Didn't they play well?
Oh, they played very well. Great goals.
Yeah.
And a midweek 2-1 win versus Western Sydney. They face Perth at Eden Park on Sunday. And the Phoenix currently sit 7th.
Yeah, just 2 points. Because Macquarie...
Just going to confirm that after last night's result.
Yeah, Macquarie, it is, because Macquarie lost 2-1 last night. I watched the end of that game when I got home from work last night, and they lost 2-1, which means that they don't go up the table at all, and we are just 1 point behind, and we play Macquarie in our last game. Macarthur, sorry, in the last game, which means that if we win this next game against Perth at Eden Park this weekend, then all we have to do is beat Macarthur in that last game, and we'll be in the playoffs. So the cards look like they're dropping for them.
Well, the good thing about it is that finishing in the top 6 is now completely in our own hands. We're not relying on other teams to lose.
Right.
But you look at the congested nature of the table. The Phoenix is 7th on 34. Central Coast are 3rd on 39.
Yeah.
5 points separating, 7 points separating 2nd to 7th. So
that's a good competition.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Melbourne City have run away with the minor premiership. They're 7 points clear of Sydney.
But we all know that's not the way the game's played down here, mate. It's not how you finish at the end of the season. It's how you finish at the end of the playoffs.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Quite right. So good luck.
So how was it? How was that experience at Sky Stadium? Anyway, 24,000.
The crowd was incredible. Just
shirts off last 10 minutes.
Shirts off in the 80th minute. The whole Phoenix experience was just fantastic, and typical New Zealand Kiwi crowd. With about 5 minutes to go before kickoff, there was probably 10,000 in the stand.
So bad. I'll just turn up. 5 minutes to go. Yeah, fair enough.
No, I was there with Michelle and another couple of friends of ours, and Phil and I were just sort of looking at each other, going, "Where's this 24,000?" And then 5 minutes into the game,
boom! There they are.
Phil and he goes, "There's that 24,000." You're like, "Yeah,
crazy." It looked great on TV. It sounded. I mean, the crowd just looked amazing, and I think so far they're pre-sold. I think they're close to 20,000 at Eden Park now. It was 15. It was about yesterday. I think it was 18 or something. 18, so, and if they get a nice day, I don't think it's going to be, unfortunately, but if they do get a nice day, they'll get a great walk up as well. So, man, great support for our local football team. And if they do the business, they could be in the playoffs. So that'd be great. That'd be great for the fans.
It'd be fantastic to see 30,000 in it.
Wouldn't it?
Park for that.
Wouldn't it?
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Right, moving to the oval ball code. This Silver Lake thing will not go away. High-level meeting between New Zealand Rugby and the Players Association is to take place on Thursday week to discuss the controversial deal, and also to table the Players Association-backed proposal of investment through Forsyth Bar, which the Players Association cheekily released to the media before they discussed it with New Zealand Rugby, which, of course, forced further to and fro between the two parties, which we can just do without. The Players Association believes New Zealand Rugby is honour bound to at least consider an alternative proposal to the 12.5% stake wanted by the American investment firm. And the Players Association believes that based on Forsyth Barr's advice, New Zealand-based IPO, I'm not sure what an IPO is, but would produce a valuation of New Zealand Rugby at between 3.4 and 3.8 billion, whereas Silver Lake values the organisation at only 3.1 billion. So who do you believe?
No idea. I mean, just get it done or scratch it all together. You know, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of listening to both sides leaking little bits that they want to the media, and there's just so much speculation. There's David Moffat in the media as well talking, this is what we should do. And everyone's coming out of the, just sort it out. I mean, this is our national game. We should be enjoying the rugby, not talking about this crap.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've sort of echoed the words of what Kieran Reid did say the other day. He was the latest of the former players to speak out on the issue because he's in managed isolation at the moment after just returning from Japan. He said that New Zealand rugby's got blinkers on over the whole deal and has asked the sports body to think of rugby as much more than a commodity, which is an interesting.
We've been saying, yeah, no, it's a great thing to say because, like we said, it's not a club team. This isn't a club team here. This is a national sporting body. They've got way more stakeholders, way more responsibilities than just, the balance sheets. There's just more. It's just that's why I'm really, that's why I'm still a little bit confused as to exactly why this company is offering all this money.
Yeah.
It's just, if it was a club team, I'd sort of understand. It's a national sporting team.
Body,
it's just so strange. But look, I really don't care what we're valued at IPO. I mean, I presume that's independent price audit or something like that. I mean, we know it's valued at a lot, and and the New Zealand Rugby Union needs the money, or New Zealand Rugby needs the money. Either sort it out and take the money, or and discuss it with your shareholders and get their buy-in, or don't, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore. So let's move on. Let's move on to some real football.
Yeah, let's talk about some actual rugby. The Trans-Tasman Rugby is highlighting the vast gulf between Kiwi and Oz teams, with the two title winners meeting each other over the weekend. You would have thought this would be a tough, tight top clash. Crusaders smashed the Reds off the park, 63-28, and at one stage, not even 2/3 of the way through the first half, we're up 28-0.
Did you watch the whole game?
I'd watched. I gave it up. About 10 minutes to go.
See, that's the problem with this. It's like it's hard to watch because you just sort of think it's not a competition. It's not a contest. We need a contest, and if that's their best side, it's almost like watching. It's like watching the schoolboys. When you get a 3A side. Yeah. Or one of the real big schools against some sort of country Calcocky school, and they rack up the point. It really did look like that. It looked like boys against men, What does this say about Australian rugby, though? About their, I
went to the Hurricanes Rebels game on Friday night, and it was a terrible game. If the Hurricanes had played like that against any of the New Zealand sides, they would have got absolutely smashed. Their ball retention was terrible. Their handling was terrible, yet they still smashed the Rebels by over 20 points.
Without even looking like they were trying.
Yeah.
No. So I don't know what this says about Australian rugby, man, but I think they could be spending a bit of time in the in the doldrums by the looks of things. I mean, I don't know, man. Who's going to come to the rescue of Australian rugby? Will it be Brad Thorne?
Yeah. And I see the Australian national team's now sponsored by Cadbury. So does that mean they've got a soft centre?
Oh, beautiful. Well done.
Yes.
It's great stuff. Yes, a soft centre and a sweet sticky. there's so many jokes.
I'll go there. Crusaders chief Colin Mansbridge says the current competition is not good for the game and that we need to be playing regularly against Australian opposition, and he's got a point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got a point, mate. Yeah. No, it seems to have done Australian rugby way more damage than it's done us, though. I mean, us playing against each other, we seem to have just got better or at least maintained the same. Them playing against each other, they just seem to have got worse. So
I actually had thought that that this competition, they were actually going to combine the points from the previous Aotearoa and Australia rounds. I don't know where that idea from, because that would have at least had Reds and the Brumbies up near the top of the table for the first couple of rounds anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst idea. I mean, at least they got the points. I mean, they had the same point system, so, they could have done that. But, I think it's looking like New Zealand first, second, third, and fourth, isn't it?
And fifth.
And fifth, yeah.
The All Blacks schedule's been confirmed now with 3 tests against Pacific opposition, 1 versus Tonga at Mount Smart, which we've spoken about before.
Yep.
2 versus Fiji and Hamilton and Dunedin. The Rugby Championship sees New Zealand hosting 6 tests against Australia, South Africa and Argentina across the country, in addition to a further Bledisloe Cup test with Auckland, Wellington and Dunedin, the winners in hosting those games. So 9 All Black tests in New Zealand and none for Christchurch.
Why? Because of the ground?
Has to be. It's the only reason. So get that stadium in Christchurch built quick.
Oh, mate, they should have had one by now. It's ridiculous. Once again, look what they did out in Hagley. Look what they did out there, and look at the success it's been, and the amount of people that before they did that was like screaming blue murder. That park's supposed to be for other things. It's not supposed to just be for cricket. They're going to take that away from the people. All those people, where are they now? Where are they now? I mean, they're nowhere, and they need a ground.
There's a lot more important things that need to be built in Christchurch before a sports stadium.
That's true, but it is one of
houses.
That's true, but that's also another, it's another side of the whole situation with the whole debacle there. Most of that's an insurance problem, I mean, the stadium though, that a stadium, you get international events. It's not just sport, and the amount of stuff that Christchurch could do, and then that obviously increases the morale of everyone in the city. So I honestly think it is a very important thing that they do need.
And you would have thought that Lancaster Park, or whatever it was called at the end, would have been heavily insured. So
you would have thought that,
money from that to assist building a new stadium.
That's a great call. I mean, has anyone ever talked about that? I mean, you would have thought that, wouldn't you? Maybe because
somebody's brought it up.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Yeah, maybe it was underinsured. That's the problem,
The All Blacks will also play 2 tests in Australia, 1 in Perth and 1 in Sydney, I think, for the Bledisloe Cup, before heading obviously off to Europe at the end of the year. Another tour that shouldn't probably happen, but we'll see.
So what's that? 9. So they've got 9 tests over here.
9 home tests.
2 in Australia. And then they head across and play tests over there as well. So by the end of how many tests? 4.
4 over there, yeah. So it'll be 13 tests, which is standard for an All Black year.
Okay. Well, that's but it's not a standard year, really, is it?
No.
It's
just New Zealand's getting to host a lot more, because normally the games against South Africa and Argentina would be home and away, whereas they're both going to be held in New Zealand. And the 100th test between the All Blacks and South Africa has been awarded to Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin. So well done to them for
just shows you got a good stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, that stadium down there is great for Otago. I mean, especially considering the weather they get down there in the winter. I mean, remember those tests down in Carisbrook? When it was absolutely freezing. I mean, it was freezing enough in Wellington when we used to go to Athletic Park, mate. But building an indoor stadium. Yes, it might not be the state-of-the-art indoor stadium, but it does the job down there. It fits in enough people, and they can have good concerts at one end as well.
Yeah.
It's just been a blessing for the people down in Otago, and they've got international artists down there as well.
Yeah.
So that's Christchurch needs something like that desperately, mate, for sure.
Big news for the Hurricanes and All Blacks this week, with Ardie Savia returning to fitness. Playing for the Canes this week, and it, of course, puts him firmly back in contention for the All Blacks. I didn't name him in my All Black squad that we named a couple of weeks back, because I thought he was out for the whole season, but obviously
I did.
So
I had the oil
into an already congested loose forward area.
Yeah, we need him. We definitely need him. He's out on his own, I think, as open side. I mean, there's other players. Yes, they're good, but he's done it for the All Blacks for the last 5 or 6 years too. He's just a great player.
Are you going to play him at open side or number 8?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. It depends on who else you pick, isn't it? It depends on who else you pick. I think if you get Satutu, maybe then you play him as number 7. If you don't pick him, maybe as number 8. I mean, I don't know. You've got options with Ardie, and that's the great thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of loose forwards, former All Blacks hard man Jerome Kano and Auckland and Blues prop Charlie Faumuina won the European Heineken Cup with Toulouse after their 22-17 win over La Rochelle in the weekend's final. Not so great news for Beauden Barrett after his Suntory team lost to Robbie Dean's Panasonic in the Japan Top League final. Interesting news coming out of Japan, actually. They're cutting back on the number of international players they're going to allow into their competition, obviously, because they want to work on the progress made already by the Japan national team. The guys like the superstars, like the Beauden Barretts and the TJ Perinaras and the Brody Retallicks, they'll still be going back there, but it'll be the mid-range guys. And one guy they focused on was Hayden Parker, former Highlanders player who went over there and played a long time in Japan and played for the what was the name of their side in Super Rugby?
The Sunwolves.
Sunwolves, yeah. He played for them, as have a number of other Kiwis. They're saying now that if you want to play in the Japan Top League, they're only allowing, I think it's 2 international players per side.
It's good.
So cutting back. There'll be a number of rugby players around the world that won't be able to get their big paycheck from the Japanese firms anymore.
I think that's good, though. They have to develop their own rugby. I just don't think it was developing their own rugby. They were just getting expats and, the Sunwolves looked quite handy there at the end, but, I mean, there weren't that many Japanese players on the side. And, I mean, if you're trying to get the buy-in from the public to sort of want to make that side, they're going to see Japanese people in the side. So, no, I think that's a good move.
Well, that's enough from rugby this week. Let's head over to the league table.
Go on!
The rugby league table, and here's your rugby league reporter, Aaron Martin.
Thank you very much, Ian. Reporting live from the scene here, North Shore Stadium.
What a great result that was for the Warriors last week, mate. 30 points to 26 against the Tigers. And the real story of the whole game really was one very pretty man. He dances prettily. He looks so pretty. Looks like he's wearing makeup. He's so pretty. He's my latest man crush, Rhys Walsh. What a player this boy is. I mean, he made a little bit of a mistake in the first few minutes, gave them a try, but then he laid on 3 with great passes, scored one himself. He's just a great player, mate. He's only 18 years old. Every time I see him, I just cannot believe he's only 18. The way he dived over, like the old Jeff Wilson was diving into a swimming pool for one of those tries. It was just awesome. I just love seeing.
Regan wasn't there to knock the ball away.
George wouldn't have been anywhere near him. This guy is lightning, mate, and he's just. I mean, I've often I did equate it in the previous podcast to Sean Johnson. I said he's the most exciting since Sean Johnson. I'm going to take that right back now and say he's the most exciting since Stacey Jones in '95, and he's probably the most exciting football player I've seen. And this is a big call, man. You're going to woo, going right the way back to '95. Since Christian Cullen burst on the scene for the All Blacks. Okay, now he's my favourite All Black fullback. So now I'm equating him to my favourite All Black fullback. I just hope he has half the career and none of the injuries. The guy is just brilliant. I just absolutely love him. So Rhys Walsh, what a player. How the hell Brisbane let him go, I have no idea. Don't really care, to be fair. Yeah. We've got him. He's a warrior. He did make a comment during the week, though, which I found quite interesting, because there was talk. Of course, we were playing the Tigers, and their coach is the Kiwi coach, and he made a little sound out to Rhys Walsh after the game about whether he was going to play for the Kiwis because he is part Maori, and he could play for the Kiwis. But he's come out and he said he's a bona fide Australian who wants to play for Queensland, despite the advances of Kiwi coach Michael Maguire. He said, I played for Australian schoolboys. I was born in Queensland. I love Queensland. It's a dream of mine to one day play for Queensland. And I feel like I'm a Queenslander. And I've represented Queensland twice and Australian schoolboys unders. And I've lived in Nerang my whole life. And I want to play for them. So I thought that's quite good, actually. I mean, it's neat the way that we can circumnavigate players, but you should play for who you feel connected to, So by
the time he's 25, he'll be wearing an All Black jersey.
Probably, yeah. And he'll probably be saying, "I always wanted to be an All Black. Always wanted.
It was
always
my dream."
But mate, I almost texted you and said, "Are you watching?" But I knew you'd been at the rugby. I thought, no, you probably won't be. But gee, he got me off my seat, mate, on Friday night last Friday, and I was so excited by his.
Get you off your seat.
That's true.
Now I understand the Warriors are getting back one of their big boppers this week.
Oh, Murdoch Masila or Adam Fanua-Blake. Well, Murdoch Masila was back last weekend. He did it. He looked okay. He was playing well. But Adam Fanua-Blake is very close to being back. I've been told maybe a week away.
Yep.
He could even be on an extended bench tonight. I doubt it, though. I don't think we'd want to push him in. He's decided not to have that surgery. And, mate, if we get him back in time for the finals, we could go anywhere. I know last week you were saying, what next for the Warriors? Where will they? I mean, they've lost 2 in a row. Well, we've won 1 in a row now, mate. 1 in a row. That's good for the Warriors. So we're actually tied equal 7th at the moment, 7th equal with the Dragons. The only thing is there's 4 teams tied in 7th equal. Dragons, Titans, Warriors, and Cowboys all on 10 points. Right at the top, the Panthers just roll on and roll on. I did mention about that good game on Sunday. Got myself ready for a great game, and the Panthers just stuck it to the Bunnies. They just smashed them. They are just something else. They're a hell of a league team. Points difference of 280 in 11 games, and they got 22 points. You can't do any better than that. The Storm are in second place on 18 points after that win last night. Brandon Smith, 2 tries, just proving that the Warriors got to go out and get the cheese, mate. They've got to go and get the cheese. Get the cheese. The Eels are equal with them on 18 points. And then you got the Rabbitohs, Roosters, Sea Eagles, and Dragons just by, of course, the Dragons equal with the, so the Sea Eagles on 6th. They are by themselves in 6th on 12 points. The Sea Eagles going really well, actually, with Tommy Turbo at the back. And there's been talk about him maybe replacing who's the current fullback, the Roosters fullback. Tedesco for the State of Origin, which would be very interesting. They'll probably chuck Tedesco on the wing if they did that anyway. But no, a really great week for the Warriors. Some players are coming back. I did hear one thing, though, that I was going to tell you. Peter Hiku, unfortunately, he's going to depart at the end of the season. He's been a real stalwart for the club for the last 3 years. And he's just had a number of injury problems over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months. And very sad to see him go because he's been playing very well for the Warriors over the last little while. It's been a real rock for us in the centre. And we are playing in the Indigenous round tonight. We're playing the Cowboys. And for the first time this season, we've named an unchanged lineup, which is great to hear. So that means that Rhys Walsh will start at fullback again. And Roger, who a lot of people sort of said moving him to the wing, he won't get involved. He got so involved. He played really well, moved himself a bit more to the centre of the ground when we were on attack. And really impressed.
He's not a player that would just stand out on the wing and wait.
He's not, He's going to go and get involved. No, he played really well as well. Created a try, scored a try. So that means he's going to play on the wing and an unchanged side, which is nice. Tavanga, Armau, Afoa, and Murdoch Masila on the bench. So very, very happy with the side. Also, Aiken coming back in the centres really solidified the defence there in the centres. So happy with the Warriors at the moment, mate. Unlike Dale Budge, I'm happy with our roster. I think we can go places this year. But then again, I'm an eternal optimist, aren't I? So.
Quite right. 26 years and you're still...
Absolutely. I don't know why.
There's one name in the sport that just won't bloody go away, and he's back in the news again this week. Israel Folau.
Oh, God.
What? He's with the backing of big, fat, rich man Clive Palmer. He wants to be registered with the Queensland Rugby League. They're saying no because you're still registered with the Catalans. So until the Catalans release you, you can't register with us. So Folau's going to take them to court, and
by the time the court
just bugger off.
By the time the court case is done, he's going to be at as old as us. That's the thing. He won't be playing anything anyway.
Just go away, man.
The thing is, he's an average rugby league player now anyway. And they did ask him questions about, do you regret those comments? No, I believe, so he hasn't really shown any contrition or any idea that he's actually, what he's done is, even if he does believe that, it's fine to believe that, but we've spoken about this before. You're responsible for what you say. You might not believe you're a role model, but if you've got 2 million Twitter followers, you are a role model. Exactly. People are going to look at what you say, and you've got a responsibility to be nice, really. And he doesn't seem like a very nice man to me.
No. Another person that is probably of dubious character, Jack de Bellon, has been acquitted of sexual assault charges and now is free to return to the Dragons.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, because the NRL's taken a hard stance with these sorts of things. Same with the Jared Haynes situation. They've sort of said if there's pending court procedures involving things like this, that they're just going to stand the player down. And there was a hell of an uproar about it amongst fans and saying, why are we doing this? These guys haven't been convicted of anything. But I think it's actually quite a good way to go. Just say, nah, look, until you sorted your stuff out. Yes, he's been acquitted, but something definitely went on there. Yeah, and, just because he's been acquitted doesn't mean he's completely innocent of everything. So, no, good on him. Go and get re-registered. Go, now you've done all that. But I can't believe the gnashing of teeth from the fans across the Tasman going, you've ruined this guy. She should be... And the vitriol towards the person of her, they go, her name should be in the, we should see her face so that we can, she's ruined this guy. And I'm just thinking, well, something obviously happened. She hasn't just come out and said, this happened. So let's just calm down. They're just so interested in victim bashing, aren't they?
I know. And Sean Johnson's come out this week and saying he wouldn't mind a stint playing rugby in Japan. Well, after what we've just talked about with the Japan top league, he may not get a chance. Well, he may get a chance, but not for very much money.
No, and I think he's only doing this. It's a similar sort of thing to DJ Perenara sort of thing. Because at the moment, Sean Johnson, no one wants him. People aren't really sniffing around. He's not quite the hot property he was a couple of years ago. Yeah. And the Sharks don't look like they really want to pick him up. The Warriors have said no. A few other teams have sort of... So I think he's just sort of sniffing around, trying to sort of push the price up for his next contract, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
that's the league.
Head stateside now. And
okay, go on.
What's happening in the world of baseball? Big surprise this week. There's been no hitters.
Really? So the batters have been on top, have they?
Yeah, not quite. But Dodgers pitcher Julio Urias took a perfect game.
Julio,
sixth inning. He had 15 up or 16 up, 16 down. But then the Giants played it a couple of runs in the sixth inning. Dodgers eventually going on to win 11-5. Now, yesterday, game between the Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates, I've seen one of the most amazing plays I've ever seen on a baseball diamond. And I think a number of fans are saying the same thing. When you ground the ball and somebody throws it over to first base, they stand on the base and you're out.
Yeah.
But the ball was heading up the first base line. So the first baseman had to come off the base to get the ball.
So move towards home plate, you mean? Is he moving towards home plate to get the ball?
Moving towards home plate to get the ball. So he's come off the base.
Yeah.
So Baez decides 3/4 of the way down the base path, he's going to turn around and head back towards first base in a rundown.
The guy that was heading to second has decided he's going to come back to first. Yeah.
So Baez decides
so he's going to bang into his own player.
First base path, which means the first baseman can't just, well, he could have run straight back to first base and touch first base, and Baez would have been out. Because of course you can't run back to home on the first base.
No, of course you can't. You hit the ball.
So he's confused the hell out of the Pirates first baseman, who doesn't know what to do. While this is all going on, the man on third base decides, I'm going to run home.
Take home. Did he get home?
First base throws the ball to the catcher, misses.
So the catcher misses.
So Baez heads down, slides into first, realizes the ball is way over the other side of the field, heads off towards second.
What a mess.
So from a ground out to first, which would have had a player out and no run scored, they've scored a run and now have a runner on second. The Pirates were just all standing around looking at each other going, what the hell has just happened?
Who won the game?
I don't know.
But that is the classic thing with baseball, and it's sport like cricket. Sports like cricket and baseball, where they are intrinsically stat-driven, where every single ball bowled or pitched can result in something that, regardless of whether you've watched it your whole life, you've never seen before. And that is why we love these type of sports.
Absolutely. The Cubs won 4-1.
There you go. So it's a crazy situation.
Absolutely crazy.
Hilarious.
Having a look at the standings, Tampa Bay has taken over the lead of the American League East. They're a game ahead of Boston. Yankees 2.5 games back.
Yep.
White Sox lead the way in the Central from Cleveland. Oakland are leading from Houston in the American League West. In the National League,
how are the Mariners doing? First, give me a Mariners update on that in that division, please.
They're third. They're 5.5 games back.
It's okay. It's okay. Yep.
The Mets are ruling the roost in the National League East. They're 2.5 games ahead of both Philadelphia and Atlanta.
Yeah, DeGrom's doing the business again, isn't he?
Yeah. Cubs and St. Louis are tied for the lead in the National League Central.
Yep.
2.5 games ahead of Milwaukee. And in the West, San Diego Padres pulled ahead of the Dodgers, who have been a bit better in their last 10 games with an 8-2 record. So San Diego lead by a game over both the Dodgers and the Giants. And let's having a look at the other end of the spectrum. Arizona Diamondbacks appear to be the worst team in baseball at the moment.
That's no good for our old mate.
No. Baltimore Orioles 17-32. They currently hold the worst record in baseball.
Okay.
Yes, Kiwis in the US, Auckland are Jason Matthews. Now, this kid is absolutely flying in NCAA Division I with the University of South Carolina Upstate. Matthews has been named in the Big South first team all-conference roster after hitting a team best 350 in the regular season games and a Big South Conference best of 71 hits in those 50 games, ranking second in doubles. Just an incredible season for this kid. To finish the season, Matthews hit 4 for 5 in 3 consecutive games against Asheville and was named Big South Conference Player of the Week twice during the season. So the amateur Major League Baseball draft is next month. Jason must surely feature after his college form over the last, not just this year, but the last 5 years when he was in Iowa at community college there, and the last 3 years at USC Upstate. So all the very best to Jason when that draft comes around. If he doesn't,
how old is he, Macca?
He's 22.
Okay, 22. And how long's he been over there?
He's been over there for 5 years.
Wow. So he's
he's 23 because he was 18 when he first went up.
Yeah. So he's actually getting qualification. Is he actually getting a degree and everything as well? So he's getting an education and
graduated last week.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Degree in sports science.
It's so great.
Congratulations to Jason for everything he's done. And I mean, the backstop for him is if he doesn't get picked up in the draft, there's going to be a spot at shortstop for him for the Tuatara. You just about lay down misere on that.
Yeah.
And MLB does keep an eye on the Australian Baseball League. So, not getting drafted this time.
Not the end of the world.
Yeah. So, Jason, just a great kid. His sister Sue has brought him up after both his parents died when Jason was only 12. So just a tremendous story.
Great story.
I hope lots of good things go the way of Jason Matthews.
I'm sure they will. And what about Kyle? How's Kyle going?
Sorry?
How's Kyle going?
Yep, in minor league action, Kyle Glagoski has recovered some form after a frightful start in AAA a couple of weeks back, and he's back pitching well at AA at the Reading Fightin' Phils. And Ben Thompson is getting plenty of work in at Low A Augusta Green Jackets, an affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. In 5 relief appearances so far this season, he's picked up a win. He's only given up 5 hits, 1 earned run, and 1 walk, and has struck out 13 hitters. So good stuff from those two. A few other Kiwis that are playing over there. I'm going to cover off their seasons next week in the next Hot Air Sports podcast.
Beautiful. Okay, let's move to cricket. Shall we? England lost another key player and wicketkeeper Ben Foakes after a freak accident in the dressing room at the Oval. He tore his hamstring when he slipped on the wet floor. It's a new one. It's a new one. Hey? Oh, it sounds painful, though. And if you're
he was only wearing socks, so he got no grip, and the hamstring went snap.
What are you doing? With no Foakes or regular keeper Josh Butler, England are going to turn to uncapped James Bracey. Never heard of this guy. To don the gloves against New Zealand starting lineup against us at Lords. He'll be making his debut by the sound of it. So a new keeper for England.
Yeah, well, they're well down on numbers.
They are, aren't they?
The old players are going to be there. Ben Stokes is unavailable. And as you just mentioned, Josh Butler won't be there either. So, and they've not picked Johnny Bairstow either. So
why?
I think
is there something going on there?
Could be. Is he? He's a Yorkshireman.
He's rather out. He is rather outspoken too about certain things.
On different things. So but no such issues with the Black Caps, who, despite Trent Bolt's absence, he apparently flies over this week. The Black Caps will be at full strength in the crucial lead up to next month's World Test Championship final against India.
Yeah. And they had a practice match apparently last night, mate. I was listening to this on TVNZ News this morning when they said the Williamson 11 faced the Latham 11.
Yes.
I was wondering who Latham was. But anyway, that just goes with the territory when you're listening to TVNZ Sports. They can't even say Latham.
Yes, I noticed that they named Devon Conway to open with Tom Latham or Tom Latham in that team. So that could be maybe a precursor to the Test team.
I would not object to that, actually. I think that'd make a bloody good opening combination.
Yeah, I think what they're doing now is I think they've told Tom Blundell with BJ Watling's impending retirement after the World Test Championship final, you're going to be our wicketkeeper for the next, 5 to 10 years. So let's just get you back concentrating on that.
Yeah, get ready for the middle order, son.
Number 6 or 7 in the order.
Yeah, man, he'd be bloody handy coming in there.
Yeah.
He'd do much the same job that DJ did.
Well, his first test, he scored 100 batting.
I know. Absolutely.
Then wore his whites home on the bus.
What a legend.
Yeah. I used that Latham 11. They were facing up to the Williamson 11. The Williamson 11 had test bowlers Southey and Wagner and newcomer Jacob Duffy. So that would be a good test for Latham and Conway. I see Sky Sports won the battle to broadcast the World Test Championship final ahead of Spark, who will show the 2 England tests. Interesting. I guess that's because it's a different broadcasting rights settlement that comes through from the ICC rather than the individual test.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? You would have thought the whole lot would have been on one platform, not 2. I don't know. It's a strange one, but I prefer it on Sky because I pay a premium for Sky, and I can pause it and, like I say, and record it a lot easier than Spark. But so long as I can see it, I'm not too miffed. I have noticed also that the radio rights have just been announced, and NZME have got the radio rights for that World Championship Test final. So if you don't,
back on the radio,
you reckon?
No, that's what they've known.
Have they really? They're going to get him out of the formaldehyde and put him back in.
That's the one.
Oh, that's good though. That's good. Coney and Wads in the middle of
the final.
That's good. That's good. Good news.
Some more interesting action across the Tasman with Sandpaper Gate rolling on with the Australia.
This goes on longer than the Silver Lake thing. The Sandpaper Gate.
Apparently, the Australian bowlers who played in that infamous Cape Town Test, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, and Nathan Lyon, published an astonishing open letter denying that they knew teammates were cheating after Sandpaper Man himself, Cameron Bancroft, hinted that the bowlers were aware of what was going on. They knew, for God.
They're good liars, the Aussies, man. They're good liars. I say lie detector test.
Yeah.
Lie detector test. That's the only way to solve this once and for all, mate. Hey, that bullshit. Of course they knew what was going on. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Come on. We've all been around and in sports teams. We know exactly how they operate. There's not just one or two rogue people doing that sort of stuff. You're all involved.
I'm sure I heard a comment over the microphone during that test where Mitchell Stark threw the ball to Bancroft and said, "Scuff that! I mean, shine that, shine that ball."
Yeah. What's going on? Geez, it's a bit rough on that side. I better shine the other side. I don't know what's going on there. No idea at all. No idea what's going on. But it's swinging today, though. Wow,
yeah, boy, man.
Wow.
It's not even cloudy over here.
They're liars. Get all of them.
iPads on fire. Phil Mickelson's become golf's oldest major winner at the weekend, clinching the US PGA Championship at age 50, his sixth major title. Old Phil Mickelson, eh?
The only way it could have been better for him was if Tiger had been playing.
Yeah.
Because then he could have just rubbed it in his face as well. But Phil Mickelson, mate, he just doesn't. He's not someone I would have picked to be anywhere near winning this championship. So he's just the sort of guy that can do this sort of thing. I mean, regardless of what you think about the guy, I don't really like him. I think he's a bit smarmy, a bit. But God, he can play golf. My gosh, and it's always nice to see a left-hander doing well too. You know, I like left-handers. Yeah,
quite right. Now, there's another interesting thing going on in the golf world at the moment.
This is interesting.
Between Brooks Kepke and Bryson DeChambeau, two of the hottest young players. Kepke interrupting a TV interview as DeChambeau made a quip about Kepke's putting as he walked past, to which the latter said to the reporter, "Sorry, I lost my train of thought hearing that effing bullshit."
Yeah, apparently there's history with these guys going back quite a distance. Only one way they're both very buff too, aren't they? They're both sort of. Yeah, so it could be steroids could be involved here, and I think there's only one way to resolve it. I think this has to be the first golf fight for life. I think you need to put them both in a ring, give them some gloves, and go for it. Yeah. Go for it, because that'll be a good fight. That'll be a good fight. Don't you reckon?
Yeah. I'm just looking up a tweet that followed that.
What happened? What did he say?
Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure what he said, but
I'll tell you what happened with the Aaron Rodgers thing, because Aaron Rodgers is good mates with Bryson DeChambeau, and they were on holiday, and he was posting some photos. Aaron Rodgers was posting some photos of him with their wives, and they were at some sort of lagoon, and they were there. And then Tom Brady posted something about, well, it looks like I'm going to have to get Brooks in my corner for this, because they had that celebrity golf off.
Yeah.
And so that's what started the whole, now Brady and Rodgers are going to have this whole thing with these two guys, and they're going to pair off and have the celebrity golf match against each other. So he's just taken the other side, but that's what's happened there. Aaron Rodgers is good mates with Bryson DeChambeau.
All right, because DeChambeau replied to something that Kepke had written.
What did he say?
It's great living inside your head or something.
Yeah, rent free in your head.
Rent free.
Yeah.
So more to come from these two.
Absolutely. I don't mind a little bit of this though in golf. We need more of it. More of it, please.
Quite right. Yeah. US Tennis Open. They're not going to have any line umpires. Who are the players going to argue line call with?
The umpire's still going to be there though.
Oh, the centre umpire will still be there.
Yeah.
Hawkeye's going to be making all the calls, and it seems to be about the only sport where technology actually works.
Yeah, because it's in or out. You know, there's just a yes or no. It's the equivalent to the football over the line. Yes, it's a goal. You know, if it's over the line, it's a goal. No one's got an argument with it. So yeah, they have got their technology right. What about the little? When I saw this, I was thinking, what about the net cord? What about when that just flicks the net cord? And what about the person that always had their hand on the net cord?
Yeah.
Are they gone as well?
There's probably a machine touching the net cord to pick up any
bloody machines.
They've got an earthquake Richter scale attached to it.
What about the ball boys and the ball girls? Are they going to get rid of them next?
The ball boys.
They're going to still have them?
Yeah, still have the ball people.
That's good. Yeah, Kramer. I always think of Kramer when I think of the US Open.
All right.
If you're a younger listener, just Google Seinfeld Kramer, the US Open.
Yeah. Now, apparently, only Armageddon will stop the Olympics going ahead this year. according to longtime IOC official, and I love this name, Dick Pound. Apparently, if the games are cancelled, it would cost Japan $22 billion. So, yeah, we don't care about athletes getting sick or not. It's just all about
the money. Yeah, Armageddon. I thought that was on at the Logan Campbell Centre this year anyway. So maybe Armageddon will stop because it's a big electronics expo up here in Auckland. They call it Armageddon. Yeah. So maybe Armageddon will arrive and we won't see an Olympics. Maybe they will make a common sense.
Either that or Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck are going to arrive at the games and tell them they can't do it.
Save everyone. Yeah. We've come to save you. Absolutely. It's stupid. Who cares how much it's costing? They should have made. The thing is, I reckon it would have probably only cost them half of that if they had made this decision last year. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, who knows what they've spent in the last year? I mean, why didn't they just make the call when all this started? They could have done that. Anyway, they didn't.
Yes. Now, despite a frustrating showing in the Giro d'Italia, Nelson cyclist George Bennett did manage to claim a podium finish on stage 12 after a rival was relegated from the top three. Bennett went into this highly favoured. He was named team leader for his team, and I think in the early stages of the tour they suffered a lot of wet weather. It just didn't work well for him, so he's been a bit disappointing, but hopefully he can reproduce some of his form in the Tour de France in July.
Absolutely. His team obviously rates him, and that's the best thing. I mean, if his team rates him, they're giving him a chance, you know. But God, those cyclists are athletes, aren't they? Jesus Christ. The way they can just get up the next morning. I mean, you know, especially, I know they don't take contact like footballers and all that sort of thing, but when football players are moaning about playing 2 games a week, and then you see the Tour de France and they're doing it for a month, and they're cycling like 400 Ks a day and getting up the next day and doing it all over again. You sort of think, well, is this, you know, it's levels of fitness, you know, and these cyclists, they have to be up there with the fittest people in the world, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Are they getting any?
Yeah, maybe.
Just, you know, their body.
Cycling doesn't have any history of that sort of thing, though, Macca. Not at all.
Well, big race for the 2 Scotties on Monday morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Indy 500.
Scotty Dixon, the fastest qualifier. He'll be on pole on Monday. Scotty McLaughlin, he'll be lining up 17th on the grid. Felt a bit sorry for Scotty McLaughlin the other day when they were doing qualifying. He'd gone out and done a good time and was itching to get back out. But unfortunately, other senior members of his team were given the spots to go out and better their time. So life as a rookie, I guess.
It's a long race. I think you can say, though, the Indy 500, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And people have started at the back before and finished at the front. So, I can imagine he'll be jumping out of his skin to race at Indianapolis, mate. I mean, that's just one of those things as a racing car driver, you cross off your bucket list, isn't it? There's the Indianapolis 500, there's the Monaco Formula One Grand Prix, and there's Le Mans, and that's probably those are probably the biggest races, and he's going to race in one of them. And Scott Dixon's the fastest, and he was the fastest by quite a way too.
Yes, yeah.
So let's hope that's a nice precursor for the race for him. If he has a fast car, he's going to be up there near the front, isn't he?
Yep. And as we do tend to finish off.
Good week, bad week.
Bad week. Good week. Phoenix boss Ufuk Talai has signed a new 2-year deal to stay with the Wellington club and followed that up immediately with 2 great wins. The 3-0 win over Western United at Sky Stadium last week and the 2-1 win over West Sydney Wanderers at the Parramatta Stadium, that brand new Bankwest Stadium.
Great stadium, isn't it?
A lovely looking stadium.
Yeah.
Bad week. Ooh, ouch. New York Mets outfielder Kevin Pillar. 94 mile per hour. That's 152, 153 kilometre per hour. Fastball to the face. And to show how tough baseball players are, he only lasted 36 seconds on the ground before getting up and walking off unassisted. 94 mile an hour fastball.
Did you see him afterwards? Did you see him in the interview? Oh, 2 black-eyed, busted nose. It was like, honestly, it was the sound that made and how quick. I mean,
who was the rugby league player? Was it Andrew Johns?
no, it was Richie Barnett. Richie Barnett had his whole face rearranged with had plates put in them. He had a facial clash with I think it was Wendell Saylor when he was playing for the Kiwis, and that was just awful. He had like I think 4 or 5 plates. But this was sickening because head clashes are sickening, but this was sickening because of the speed the ball was traveling. I mean, well, you notice it, when you're watching Major League Baseball and they throw those, 100 mile an hour, 95 mile an hour fastballs, you see him throw it and you basically just see the catcher take the ball. This was the same. You saw him throw it and the next thing you know, the guy's just, and the sound it made, it was just, wasn't it? And it just got to him so fast. He had no way of doing anything. And this made me also think, mate, something I've thought of a little bit about, obviously in cricket, a lot of protective gear. Baseball still pretty unprotected when they're batting, aren't they?
Yes, there are some players who wear a chin guard on their visor, depending on like Giancarlo Stanton.
Yep,
got hit
with the bit down here.
Yeah, about 5-6 years ago, and ever since then, when he's facing left-handed pitchers, he always wears the chin guard. He doesn't when he's facing a right-handed hitter, but some other players wear it all the time. So there are,
but it's not much though. It's just like a little bolted on bit. And some of them, I remember they used to just have the batter's helmet, and then they did put the ear guards in, obviously. Yeah. But there's no one with like a mask on the eyes or anything like that. I mean, you look at ice hockey back in the 90s, back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they started wearing helmets, and all the older players were like, never going to wear a bloody helmet. It's, they'll tell everyone I'm soft. And before you know it, everyone was wearing them. But then all the older guys still say, I'm never going to wear a visor. Now, all of them, because they're younger player, all of them wear visors, all of them wear helmets. I just can't understand why baseball really hasn't taken up that sort of side of things.
No, when you look at the pitchers who are 60 feet away.
Exactly.
With the ball coming back just as fast off the bat.
Absolutely.
Some of those are scary as heck when you see some of those comebackers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's crazy. I would have thought safety gear would have been, more prevalent in baseball, but it's just not, is it? Strange.
Anyway, we've got a big weekend of sport coming up with those one big football game and another not so important football game. Always big clashes in the NRL. And, of course...
The Warriors tonight, mate. The Warriors tonight.
Who can go past the tight contests of Super Rugby Trans-Tasman?
Oh, yeah. It'll be another 60-point win for the Crusaders, no doubt.
Well, it's goodbye from me.
And it's a beautiful